All right. So let me tell you about our storytelling boot camps. We have a couple of them coming up, but there are these day-long events where you come and you learn how to discover and then tell your story. And I was teaching one of these boot camps with our next teller, and the format of the day is that basically you do some story discovery exercises, you talk about the structures of good stories, and then you do some table work where you separate off, and in groups of 6, each individual student will tell their story and get feedback from me, the teacher, and then their peers. And I'm in this group with Amanda, and she's great. And people are telling their story, and Amanda's the first storyteller. Amanda's not giving. I give my feedback. The other students give their feedback, and Amanda's like holding back with this thoughtful look, and then she gives like this incredibly intelligent and insightful feedback, and I really fucking hated it. I feel a little bit threatened. I feel a little bit competitive. And she kept on doing it the entire course of the boot camp, and I feel it's because she's got really good storytelling instincts, and I'm not at all surprised that she's here at Top Shelf. So please welcome to the stage, Amanda Sapir.
Gorgeous, buxom, southern bombshell tore through my heart like a coastal storm called Lisa. We were an I can't, but I love you, but I can't kind of story. Like, I can, but do you want to come over and watch another episode of The Golden Girls and maybe sleep over? And like, I really shouldn't, but I do love The Golden Girls and your bed. Kind of 2-year story. So when the last I can't fell from her lips to my ears, I was heartbroken and licking my wounds on a Saturday afternoon when Shyrus called. Shyrus was a veterinary technician, and she heard Lisa and I split, so she called to ask me on a date to the Pima County Animal Control Center, the dog pound, a vet tech's idea of high romance. I let her know I work full-time, I'm a student full-time, I have a cat, I am in no shape to be adding another member to my family, and she assured me she would not pressure me, she just wanted to visit with the dogs. Admittedly, given my self-pity and my breakup, visiting a bunch of sad sacks of loyal, rejected animals seemed apropos. I totally agreed to the date, though I was having a difficult time moving on in a high-kill shelter. When Shira suggested I just pick one of the dogs to visit with, I look across the sea of kennels, I spot a meaty golden pit bull gnashing its teeth at its yapping little kennel mate, and said, I want to see that dog. And the shelter thought I meant the little yapper. I said, no, I want the one biting that dog. That's not her nature. I'd be biting that little yapper too if we shared a cage. So the shelter staff escorted the dog that they called Baby and me out to the visiting area. I sat down, Baby walked right up to me, collapsed onto the ground, rolled onto her back, showed me her little piglet pink soft belly, and I said, now that's this dog's nature, as I started to give her a belly rub, as if to redeem my foul mood and her foul temperament. Shyrus had visited with a couple other dogs, though she had preferred the little yapper to Baby, so naturally our incompatibility was sealed, and we parted ways. The following day, I was home alone, and I knew that Lisa was out with somebody else, and I was miserable. And my mind wandered back to the shelter and the loyal rejected animals who had done everything they could to make their girlfriend happy, their masters happy. Works on both. And my mind went back to Baby, I decided to go and visit her one more time. The sun was setting over the row of cages. I walk in, she spots me. Her golden head rises, her almond eyes twinkle, her head starts to wag, and I swear I heard her say, "You came back. I'll take that one." I let her settle into my Tucson one-bedroom bungalow apartment for a couple of days before I laced up my running sneakers, leashed up my dog, my little animal, Animalia. I called her Amalia. And we headed out for a run. Less than 2 minutes in, she stops in the road, wouldn't budge, figures I picked a broken dog, the one who doesn't like to run or even walk. I lifted her up in my arms and took her home. She throws herself onto the carpet dramatically for a dog that had just been carried home. And rolls onto her back to show me her piglet pig belly again. I said, "That's this dog's nature, lazy dog." And I start to give her a belly rub when I notice something changed, something's different. And it was as though her stomach overnight had just popped. And her nipples or teats or whatever you want to call them were swollen, and there was a substance coming out of one of them when I looked real close. I was alarmed. I called Shiris the vet tech. Shiris called the vet, and Shiris' idea of a second date was an appointment for an ultrasound. We're at the vet's lubing up my dog. Shiris and I have agreed through our eyes that this is way too intimate too soon. When the vet declares, "There are a lot of puppies in there." Shiris and I gasped the gasp of two people who just got pregnant on the first date. And the vet says, "Yep, 2 to 3 weeks, she'll be whelping." Pima County Animal Control Center said, "We haven't made a mistake like that in 11 years. But if you just bring the dog in, we'll abort the puppies and spay the dog for free. Thanks." I realized this was the first time in my life, and possibly only time, that I would have to contemplate an accidental pregnancy. Fortunately, I had heard Madonna's Papa Don't Preach at just the right moment, and decided, I'm in trouble deep, and I'm keeping my babies. In a convenient relationship with the vet tech, who also happened to be a lovely person who felt extremely guilty about this pregnancy, she helped me to construct a whelping bed, which is a kiddie swimming pool lined with blankets. I picked up what to expect when you're whelping. And when Lisa heard that I was having babies without her, she immediately ditched her fling, called me up, asked to be the doula, and we started watching the Golden Girls again. It was a summer pregnancy in the desert, July, which was only relieved by what Arizonans call a swamp cooler. And Lisa's interpretation of a doula, which is kind of like a midwife, she brought over a pint of vanilla ice cream and fed Amalia a tablespoon while we polished off the rest. And when the big day came, I arrived home from work to check on Amalia and found her panting in my laundry basket, adjacent to the meticulously crafted whelping bed. I coaxed her out of my clean laundry, and she just started walking out my bedroom door into the hallway when I saw a black sack hanging from her lady parts. And I reached out just in time and caught Doc, the very first puppy. They just kept coming. Yep, from midday to midnight, name all of the puppies, we decided on old-timey country singers. So we had Doc, Dolly, Carlene, Hank, Vernon, and I'm cheating because you try and have 10 kids all in one night and remember all their names. Winona, Alice, Penelope, Wanda, Loretta, Joshua, and Jacob. And they were all born these quiet, cooing little squirms, except for one actually, who was born just squeaking and squealing, not out of pain or out of opinions. Like, it's cold, where is she, what can I eat? And I said to Lisa, we've got a talker. And Lisa said, that one's gotta be Wanda, after Wanda Jackson, the iconic twanging diva of rockabilly. And so it was. Now, my lease did not account for more than 40 legs under one roof, so I had to conceal their presence and contain their damage, because after about a week, they had started to outgrow the little puppy hole and hoist themselves over the side of it into my apartment. And so now when I came home, my place was just littered with escapees, like little passed out pork chops everywhere. So I went out and got some wood and some chicken wire to construct this monstrosity of a dog cage on the only tiled area of my apartment. But as they quickly got bigger, their fat little paws just wedged themselves inside the chicken wire and threw themselves over. So now when I came home to check on them, as I put the key to the door, I could already hear them sniffing on the other side at the bottom of the door, just waiting for me to come home. And when I threw open the door, all I saw were them frenetically wagging tails, so excited that I just got home. And just beyond their tails, I saw pools and pools of shit. So, you know, puppies poop 6 times a day, times all those puppies and Amalia's postpartum diarrhea situation. It was nice. Flies, black flies. And my landlord evicted me. Yeah. I called his mother to convince her to convince him to not evict me, and we ultimately decided I needed a bigger place, so I spent more money than I could afford to rent a house with a fenced yard for all of us. I shelled out a couple $1,000 in vet bills to vaccinate all of them, spay and neuter them, and after extensive background checks of all interested parties, it took me about 1.5 years to find homes for all of the dogs, except for one. Flashback to a couple of days after the puppies were born. And Lisa had finally had an opportunity to flip over all the dogs, and she says, Amanda, one has a penis and no toes. Turns out one has a mess of congenital defects. His penis is not one of them. That was just a surprise. With no toes. We call it his magic Wanda, and he's got deformed toes on the other one. And he was born without most of his teeth on one side of his mouth and an unusually short bottom jaw with an obscenely long tongue that hangs out about 6 to 8 inches at all times. And he's got a fin of fur growing in the very center of his forehead that kind of goes up. He's a totally complete mess. And his twang turned into a kind of operatic howl whenever I left the house. And then when I came home, he looked at me with these eyes just like his mama's. You came back, except this time I got chosen. Wanda kept me. As it turns out, all I needed to weather the storm of broken heart was unexpected pregnancy and motherhood, puppy love, and a lot more episodes of The Golden Girls.